So welcome to the tutorial. So the first thing we'll be doing is to cut out a paper. That paper, we'll be using that paper to cut out the wording. So as you can see, I'm measuring 5.5 and I marked it on 2 points. So I'll be joining both points with a line. I want the inner part of my footing bow tie to be 5.5 and long and 2.5 high. So I'm measuring 2.5 now. So as you can see now, I'll join both to mark that 2.5 points. So the rectangle is 5.5 long, 2.5 high. So the breadth is 5.5, the length is 2.5. So the next thing I'll be doing is to cut out the rectangle. So as you can see, I'll fold it into two, then fold it again, because I want whatever I'm doing to one part to be what will be happening to the other part. So I'll measure 1.5. So after taking 1.5 inches, I'll mark it, join that point to the other edge, and I'll cut out to get that arrowhead. So as you can see, whatever I'm doing to one part is affecting the other part. So the next thing we'll be doing now will be to take 1.5 inches. You divide 1.5 inches into two. Whatever you get, you use it to take your point from that edge. Then you make a curve from that arrowhead edge to that point, and you cut off. So as you can see, I've gotten my inner piece of my bow tie, and I'll be using a black marker to mark it out so it can be visible on the wording, because I'll be using it to cut out my wording. If I don't do that, it will be very difficult for me to tell the difference between the wording and the paper. So I just can't make all those cutting measurements on the wording. It will be somehow difficult. So that's why I did all that on the paper, and now I'm using the paper to cut out my wording. So it's just like pattern drafting. You use your paper to cut out the shape, then you use the paper to cut out the fabric, but in this case, the wording. So I've finished cutting my wording. The next thing I'll be doing is to bring out my doll face. So this is my doll face. I'll be adding a stay to it. So you can use hair stay, you can use paper stay. So anything that is soft, then you press, you put your wording which has gum attribute, and you also press. So after doing that, this is what we got. Next thing will be cutting the piece 1 inch away from the wording. So I'll be cutting 1 inch round away from the wording. So after doing that, as you can see, this is what we got. So the next thing will be our folding. Now when folding, after folding, you press. If you have hemming gum, put hemming gum in between both foldings. It will hold it firmly. Then next you make a small bend. So this is what we do. Make a small bend, then you press. There's a reason for that. So as you can see, I've done that. So after making that small bend, you make a full bend of the other edge. The reason you made a small bend is because you don't want, after bending it, one part to protrude out of the other part. So after making a full bend, you press also. And that's what we have. So you do the same for the other part, the opposite part. You bend, you make a small bend, then you make a full bend. Mind you, if you don't have hemming gum, you can always use hand needle. You just make sure the thread you're using is the same color as the doll face, which is yellow. So as you can see, we've done same on both sides. Next thing we'll be doing is to make a notch. You make a notch to the point where it meets the wording, but you won't cut the wording. So this will ease your bending. So when bending, You won't have much difficulty doing that. So as you can see, if you, like I said, if you have hemming gum, use your hemming gum. If you have needle and a hand needle and a thread, use your hand needle and a thread. But most importantly, use your pressing iron to hold everything down. So we've done that. So the next thing we'll be doing now is to hem. If you have a needle and a thread, but if you don't, we can continue. So after that, you cut your black doll face 11 inches. You can leave the other part because you will be getting the other part from folding. So the first thing you do is to fold, then you press. So I'll be measuring 2.5 inches to fold the other part. So like I said, you don't really measure this part. If it is excess, we can trim, but the most important thing is to get your 11 inches length. So as you can see, we folded both parts, and after folding, everything is 2.5 inches. So since our length is 11 inches, we'll sew by ½ inch, which will reduce it to 10 inches. So you check your ironed lines and align them together, then you sew with ½ inch. So after sewing, this is what we got. So as you can see, that's what we got. The next thing we will be doing is to open our seam allowance. So you do that with a pressing iron. So as you can see, we've done that because it eases up your folding. So since we've already folded before even sewing, we'll just stick back to the folded iron line so we can get our 2.5 arrangement. Then you try as much as possible to put your sewing line at the middle. So this requires your hands being efficient. So after doing that, you iron again, you press again, which is what we've done. So this is also how to make a normal bow tie. So we'll be getting to that later on. But for now, the next thing you do is you add your first piece to the other piece. So as you can see, the first piece is ½ inch longer than the other piece, and that is default by measurement. So the next thing I'll be doing is to use my hand needle to hem both, because I want when I'm controlling it, one should not be detaching from the other. You can do this, or you cannot, or you can't if you don't want to, but I just want it to be easier for me to work with. So after doing that, our center piece, you take your doll face black material, fold into two and sew. You just sew by a little above ½ inch. It depends on how you want your center piece to be. If you want it tiny, you can make it ½ inch, which is not really, which I don't really recommend. I think a little bit above ½ inch, if possible, almost an inch. So the next thing we'll be doing after that is to iron. So you press it and you make it steady for work. So as you can see the way I'm folding, watch the way I'm folding that. Then I'll put my center piece around. So as you can see, the floating bow tie outlook is already coming out. So the next thing I'll be doing is to trim the excess hairy part of the material, so it don't affect the work. And then after doing that, I will be folding that center piece on both sides. So after folding, I will push both sides to meet each other. Then I will use my hand needle and thread to hem both. So when you are working with your hand needle, you don't really need to tie anything. Once you take your first stitch, leave some allowance of thread, take your second stitch, it becomes tied. You don't really need to tie anything. So as you can see, I'll be taking it step by step. So I'll continue doing this until I'm done holding every part of the centerpiece. And please subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed. If you really like the video, click the like button and the notification bell to get notified whenever I will drop new videos. So you roll it twice to tie. So you can cut it like that, or you can use your scissors. Scissors is preferable for neat cutting. So lo and behold, our floating bow tie is ready. Everything that remains is just basically you arranging it and making the neckline, which we'll be using to hold the neck. Yeah, so that's that. So in making our normal bow tie, like I said earlier, after folding the black piece, that's the black doll face, you will make two. Not that you can make two, you make two, you fold just the way we folded the other one. You use the center piece to make it go around, and that's that. So just the same way we did the floating bow tie, it's also the same way we do the normal bow tie. Only the normal bow tie's measurement is a bit bigger than that of the black piece of the floating bow tie. So that's our handle. Just like the center piece, you make a long piece, but this time you'll be needing, for the way we do ours, we'll be needing a ring. So that's a ring. So that's a ring, and the next thing you'll be doing is to fold and sew. So you fold it twice before you sew. You fold it once and then twice before you sew on top to hold the ring. Now the other part of the neck handle, you can see what we'll be using. I don't really think I know the the name, but they use it mostly for bags and sandals, so you can always get it from a shoe part selling shop. So you'll be placing it like that, but before you do that, the first thing you do is to fold the edge twice and sew, just twice and sew. Then after doing that, you place one part, you sew round, place the other part and you sew round. So that's what you get after doing that. So it's as easy as that. So it's you place it inside the center piece, so you can adjust it to any point. So after doing that, you can see the same way we do others. You can see we have a red and black, white and black, yellow and black, then a black bow tie. So thank you for watching. Like I said, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to this channel. God bless you.